So Leah, to go back to the more ephemeral question, do you sense a different mood in the country? Is there greater support for the indigenous people who are resisting in this case a pipeline, than there was at the time of the Oka crisis for the indigenous people who were resisting something different? At that time it seemed like a small matter. It was a question of building a a golf course on their sacred territory. Do you think there's more sympathy this time around?
Well, I'm going to share a Gazan fact. So during the Oka crisis, I was actually camping out on a tent in solidarity on the mat in the front of the Manitoba Ledge during the Oka crisis. So I've been at it a long time. Absolutely, and I think one of the turning points certainly was the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report of Canada. I think that changed the discussion. For the last several years, including working with my partner Romeo when he was trying to push Bill C-262 forward, I've been working with many people from the faith community on moving towards reconciliation. And I often joke, I spend more time in churches in the last few years than I've ever been in my whole entire life. I think there's a shift in this country that's undeniable, and I think that we witness that in the diversity of the crowds in support of fundamental Indigenous rights that we are seeing right now. And even though I know I have to listen to the conservatives on a daily, I think I should get free therapy for it, violently criticizing people for supporting fundamental Indigenous human rights, like all people have. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime, and and although it's a difficult time, I feel really hopeful. It's not as lonely. A dear friend of mine actually was one of the legal observers in the Wet'suwet'en territory. He's a member of the Peacemaker Christian Christian peacemaker teams. Charlie Wright. People are non-Indigenous people are putting themselves on the line now, and they understand the dangers of Indigenous people speaking up. And I know that we're ending, but I just want to say something. The Indigenous people, I think Thomas King stated it perfectly in the book that he called the inconvenient Indian, because every time there's a struggle, we're situated as the inconvenience. And I think in the media, I hear that we're the inconvenience, but nobody talks about the inconvenience about being taken off lands at the end of a sniper, or the inconvenience of not having a toilet or clean drinking water or a school, or the inconvenience of having to live in a house with 20 people. Nobody talks about that inconvenience. So I think we need to really shift this discussion. And I'm hoping for more dignified discussions in the House of Commons. That's something that I've certainly been pretty, I think upfront about in terms of my interventions. And, I feel hopeful. I think, the House of Commons, I mentioned the other day, as an Indigenous person, there's no other person in this country that has to, as I shared early, listen to their minimum human rights standards be up for debate. And we need to do better. And this is an opportunity in this crisis to do things better, because there's nowhere else to turn but up this time. So I'm hoping that this doesn't end up in a loss of life or violence, that we will take this opportunity to take the high road, to move up. And we're at a critical juncture, and I hope we make the right choices.